days like this, I just absolutely love England. Trying to look friendly. Oh, I don't really know what to say. I'm awkward because I'm in front of people. Hi guys, welcome back to what is going to be a huge solar array. It's going to be 100k of solar in the field behind us here. This is an absolutely beautiful project where today I'm working with Adam and Johnny. We are doing a huge 3-phase Victron system, so stick around and I'll show you the job. I'm absolutely loving working on the south coast. I've never experienced this before. Are all electricians on the south coast like this? Okay, so basically the plan is there's going to be 100k of solar panels out on this field out here. And over there is going to be a big old pool house, which is going to be powering. Now, the reason why we're doing all of this is because the customer has asked for 3-phase power. Now, he only has single-phase power on the property. So we're going to generate 3-phase power for him. So this is the plant room here. So these lads have absolutely smashed this out. This shed didn't exist a few days ago. So they've built the shed, put air conditioning in, pulled power in. It's all kind of just running temporarily at the minute off of that fuse board. But the single phase power is going to be coming into the Victron system, and we're going to be splitting it into 3 phases. This will handle the synchronization of the phases, it will handle everything, and then going back off out into the property. You see here, this is the temporary solar setup. Very rare that you do a temporary solar setup, but the reason being is this is going to be a huge project. Just as a kind of proof of concept, we've got a load of batteries that are going to be going along the floor here, and the solar is going to be going on the roof, which will be trickle charging them. And that is just a temporary array. It's not an efficient place to have it really. That is going to be 4 strings of 2 panels each, so 8 panels, approximately 4 kilowatts of solar going on the roof. So these are the panels here that are being used. This right here is a little combiner box. So this is what I'm just on with at the minute. I'm sort of midway through it. All my kit is out. Strings are going to be going into here. You can see I've just been labeling it up. I know it's temporary, but it's below 100 volts as well. But yeah, this is going to be combining the 2 strings. So you've got all the negatives, all the positives going in, and then it's going to come out of that. Well, it's going to come in, sorry, from the panels through the isolator, combined out of that isolator, out into the MPPT. Do you know what MPPT stands for? If you do, comment it below. And then out of that, off to, where's it going off to next?
It goes MPT then into the distribution, which will be centre down here.
And that is this just here on the floor. So that is probably the biggest Victron distribution bus that I have seen yet. So this is the Lynx distributor.
So that's power side, and then goes back into this cabinet, which
out into this one.
It goes into this one. The negative side then goes through the 2000 amp smart shunt, which then comes back out, and then the batteries are on the other side of that.
Awesome.
So all and then we got inverters and MPPTs.
Our Servo GX there, and the screen will be getting mounted, some kind of HMI human machine interface will be going on that door there. So this has been an absolutely awesome project. You ready for a crash sim?
Crash sim.
Okay, so at the minute we're just prepping to get the panels on the roof. But the thing is, everything we do, as I say, because this is kind of temporary, we still want to make sure that whatever we do here isn't going to interfere with the larger install at hand. But Johnny, how many MPPTs do you reckon we'll end up with if we've got 100k of solar on the roof?
100k of solar, we'd need to fit 20 of this size MPPTs in this room.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to fit on there. Possibly 10. We can probably get 10 in there. We certainly could get 10 side by side with a little bit of space between them as one long run.
Yeah.
But it's whether we need space for a little bit more than that. So it's whether we start looking at putting some vertical trunking or whether we can get another second set of horizontal trunking.
And just for the viewers' benefit, these are convection cooled, so you see the little heat sinks on the back there. So we can't be butting these up for anyone thinking, oh, you can fit or butt up trunking or anything like that, even though that might look nice. They need room to be able to dissipate the heat. They have installed air conditioning because they're clearly extra. But yeah, we're going to need that space. So although what we're doing today is temporary, we've got to keep in mind the future proofing for the larger project at hand.
So we worked it out for efficiency losses between the MPPTs and the inverters. If it's all running at full capacity, we get about 6 kilowatts of excess heat.
6 kilowatts of excess heat. Wow, that's crazy.
Obviously, it's never really going to run. Certainly, the inverters won't ever run flat out unless they've got a lot of stuff on. But the MPPTs will obviously when we've got full sunshine.
Yeah, they're going to be working.
They're going to be working hard.
But that would be the equivalent of 145 kilowatts worth of power, 100 kilowatts coming in, and 45 kVA's worth of power going back out in AC in order to tap everything out, which is a phenomenal amount of power.
There's a lot of power. And just for the benefit of our viewers, do you remember what MPPT stands for?
Multi-power point tracking.
Oh, what a legend. These guys got a bit big for their boots for a second. Do either of you want to explain what MPPT stands for?
Max power point tracking.
Oh, what a legend. You got that first time. Max PowerPoint tracking. You know, when your wife said she made you camera ready today, did that include putting pink boxes on?
No, I think about myself.
I'm really sorry about that one. I'll open the window. Yeah. Sorry, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. For those people that don't know, I'm really super lactose intolerant. And you made me the milkiest tea I've ever had in my life earlier. It was like straight from udder to mouth. All I can say is I'm grateful I'm not wearing white pants today. I'm also a shy lactose intolerant. I'm not very vocal about it because I feel like a lot of people are lactose intolerant nowadays just because it's fashionable. Or people are celiac just because it's cool. It's like, oh, I'll have oat milk and gluten-free. But no, I'm very deeply involved in the lactose-free community. If you're thinking and you're watching this and you're a customer or a tradesman that I've worked with and you think, hang on a minute, I've given you milk. There's probably a reason why I was dashing out very often. Have you ever heard of the Dutch oven? Yeah, the Dutch oven. It's made by Le Creuset, but it's also if you fart in bed with your partner and then quickly cover their head with the duvet so they're trapped.
I feel very sorry for your wife. I don't think I've ever been that disrespectful.
I love my wife. You don't want to know what the French kettle is. Okay, so I'm finished with this now. So this is what I say finished with it. I've got the connection box wired up. Now I just need to fish between there and that point just there. And then that can be the outgoing. What size cable are you using for that?
To the DC side?
Yeah.
35mm.
35mm. So we're using 35mm DC cable then out of there, down and across. So go see what I can grab. Absolutely loving this. Look, all the trees everywhere. I don't know if you can hear that. That is the sound of the wind in the trees. It's stunning. So I finally had a chance to organise my van a little bit better this weekend, which is nice because it's been an absolute tip. It's still dirty on the outside, but moving house and everything, it's been a bit busy getting everything organised, but that. And also, I misspoke on a video recently. People ask me what van I went for. When I said I had a new van, I meant a new van layout. I have not purchased a new van just yet. I will be doing that, but yeah, kind of waiting. Got other things to pay for at the minute. Yeah, we'll be coming back to that as soon as I can. Right, I've got a fish tape and I've got this little gecko gripper thing, which is a magnet on a string basically, see if that works. Probably just going to try and stick to the metal fuse board, so it's probably not going to work, but there we go. You have one of those?
I need to get one of those.
They're pretty handy sometimes. They don't work in every situation, but for when they do, they work really well. There we go. So we're through the wall. So now I can tape up my 35mm and put that back. So this is the 35mm cable here. So for people wondering why it's single insulated, basically this is only 76 volts DC. And it's very much just a temporary system, just to trickle charge these batteries. Now, if you know why I'm saying 76 volts and why that's important in a DC system, feel free to comment below. If you don't know why and you have a negative opinion on it, well, I don't know, go over to another YouTuber's video and leave a comment there. Actually, I might as well pull two through at once.
Don't waste too much.
I'm not wasting much at all. I was just thinking that, I was about to cut a lot more and I thought, oh, I'm not paying for this cable. Ouch. And would you look at that? £10 wasted.
You know, a foot too much in the fuse box there.
Okay, my bad. Right, I could go grab my heat gun. So I got a little heat shrink pack out, which is pretty handy for situations where there's no power, and well, there is power here, but it's all over the side of the room. So I should make a point of saying as well, before other people do, this is tinned copper, this is not aluminium, because yeah, aluminium cable is trash, as we were just talking about. Although I feel like in America they still use a lot of aluminium, aluminum. Oh, the compound, like potting compound stuff, yeah.
You dropped another one.
Mate, I'm so
I went to go and write that down now. What's he going?
Mate, that one literally fell out. I didn't push. I'm really sorry. It was your milk. I'm losing all control. I had a curry last night as well. This smells like 5-day-old Indian food with baby nappies mixed into it. Hey, it's becoming an explosive atmosphere. I feel like different regs are about to start applying in here. Okay, so quick catch-up time. This is pretty much done. A little temporary array, which, you know, I don't think it's a bad job for a temporary array. That is coming out there, and the reason why it's coming out in the corner like that is because we are going to have stick trunking coming up and coming down for the various MPPTs that are going to be going on that wall. These are all in, these links distributors. This is on now. Pretty much ready to go inside of there, ready to fit the HMI. These are ready to wire up. So that means one thing, it's time for lunch. Okay, so lunch is over. So now it's time to wire these up. So got the MPPT wired in just here. That is in the process of being done. These cables here, we're having to keep the same length. Put it in the comments below if you know why that is. Now, these two guys are smashing on. And I have a question for you both, if you don't mind.
Yep.
What is green, and if it fell out of a tree, it would kill you?
No idea.
A snooker table. Now, the other question I was going to ask was, why have you split up these links distributors? Because I see there a gap and another gap just there. I've never done a system this big, so please.
So basically the system is rated to 1000 amps. Normally, in the links powering, you would have a normal powering, which is where the batteries come in.
Yeah.
And then bolted onto the ends of these, like here,
Shunt.
would be the link shunt, which is a 1000 amp rated shunt, which looks a little bit like the one in the cabinet.
Yeah.
But it's only 1000 amps all built inside. And then on the other side, you'd have more of these, which is then the output side of your inverters and your MPPTs. Problem is with this system, with 50 kilowatts worth of solar plus the batteries plus the potential draw on the inverters, we could be over 1000 amps. It's close, but we could be over. So the way we've done it is we've actually split it up. So the batteries are split into two sections, which is one here, one over that side. So there'll be 6 batteries into each one. Each battery can do 200 amps, so you work out the maths. And then each one of these has 2 links per one, which we're doing in cable, which will come and link to this main bus bar, and the negatives will go through the 2000 amp shunt in here. So that means that instead of on the normal system you'd have sort of 1 negative, 1 positive at the point of the shunt, we've actually got 4 cables at the point of the shunt each side, which on the cable rating on the manufacturer's cables is a 500 amps per cable. So that gets us to our 2000 amps, which is the same as our rated shunt.
So in layman's terms, this metal here, this bus bar,
yeah,
if you was to cram them all in, which you probably could cram them in less, it would overrate that bus bar, overload it rather, because
1000 amps.
it's only rated to 1000 amps.
And it's split up as well.
So you've split up your battery, 95mm between, split up batteries, 95mm between.
Inverter.
Makes sense. So the shunt is basically just to monitor the flow between the batteries and the MPPTs.
And the state charge of the batteries.
Right.
It monitors.
Yeah, so it monitors wherever goes in or out of the batteries.
Right.
Yeah, and then obviously the inverters draw through, or it can come direct from APTs to inverters. It doesn't necessarily have to go through the batteries.
Yeah, and it all,
So the point where the batteries are fully charged, and you've still got solar, nothing will flow through the shunt. It will literally just go from APTs straight into inverters.
Cool beans. Nice one. So they are the battery cables all cut now to the right length. That is the nicest crimper I've ever seen in my life, maybe. So this is not sponsored by Milwaukee. This is actually purchased with money. But this crimper is just wicked. When you've got a job like this where you've got absolutely loads to do, makes it fantastic. We're doing a 95mm crimp, just to make sure that it's orientated nicely with the natural curve of the cable, so it goes onto the battery just fine. All right, and then that slides on like that, nice and snug. You select the right size dies to go in there and crimp away. Okay, they are crimped up and now we're just installing them, but now we're having the fun issue of, if all of these cables have to be the same length, where do you lose the length inside of the trunking? Do you do a little snag? And if you do a little snag, or do you do a little loop and risk making an electromagnet? What's the best way to do it? What would you do in this scenario? Just to put people's mind at ease, I've got a torque wrench, so these are being torqued up. What setting are these torqued up to?
14.
There we go. And it's hard to keep things neat and all the same length. Everything has got to be cut to the same length as the longest conductor, because the reason being, if one of the conductors is shorter and that then becomes an easier route on a circuit wired that way, that piece of cable will be working much harder than all the rest of them, potentially burning it out. So while Johnny is cracking on inside, I am out here with Adam passing these through. It's funny, you're not the only two Johnny and Adams in my life, you know.
Nice.
String 4, yeah? Just gonna do 4 stripes of tape. Wow, that roof is getting hot. I don't think you can beat this, working outside in the sunshine, doing something cool as well. I mean, okay, maybe on a really snowy, horrible day, maybe then I'd rather be in an office. A day like today, imagine you'd be crying. Especially if you were doing something sad in an office like cat funerals. You'd literally be crying. Cat funerals, what were you saying?
Yeah, so the guy we do some of the swimming pool stuff with, he's got a big warehouse
Yeah.
in the middle of Dorset, and he's got like 30 odd kilowatts of solar on the roof.
Right.
Turns out one string of this solar was down,
No.
and we worked it out that he'd lost something like 11,000 in feed-in tariffs for the time that this string had been down.
That's ridiculous.
But their relation to the cat funerals is there's a pet crematorium on his car park. So we're out there cleaning the solar panels, and every now and again you just get this waft of burnt hair.
Wasp of
Come out
crispy
chimney.
Felix. It's not what you want. Unless it is. Then it is what you want.
I'll send you some pictures as well of the state of these solar panels. They've been out there 11 years, never been cleaned.
Right.
I'll send you some pictures.
And you're probably
It's like-
scraping off like
Yeah. It took us 2 days to clean these solar panels because they were so covered in algae.
dentistic residue.
So anybody that tells you that solar panels are self-cleaning,
I think they're only
It's lying.
self-cleaning ever at a certain angle anyways, and even then
Yeah.
not really. I've never said to my customers they're self-cleaning. Why weren't they working?
one of the connectors had burnt out completely. This is one of the installer's connectors. It obviously burnt out and was arcing to the struts that were on the roof.
Oh dear.
It completely fried it.
Could be worse though.
Could have been, yeah, like it was a metal roof.
Right.
John, our reasoning behind why we split it up like this,
Why you what?
rather than doing just one big array.
The shading on the tree?
Yeah,
Was that the reason?
yeah.
Sorry.
That's fine, no.
I feel like I completely took the wind out of your
No, no,
sails there.
It's just like a poor man's version of optimizers.
Optimizers' benefits are massively exaggerated anyways.
Yeah,
Like with a modern day panel with diodes in, I still think they're good to have, especially
Yeah, they
when
are.
it's severely shaded like
yeah.
here. But when people promise on like a south-facing roof, oh, you're going to get 14% efficiency, I think.
yeah. When there's
you're
no
not.
trees around or nothing, it's kind of.
Yeah, you're really not.
But they're great if you want to do one big array across multiple roofs.
Yeah.
So you've got like east, west, and south
Makes
roofs.
perfect sense. Yeah. But even then, I'd weigh up the cost of optimizers versus a multi-string inverter.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what surprised me about you guys: the cup of tea earlier.
yeah.
I really expected you to be people that make like a really strong cup of tea. Sounds really milky.
What do you like? Very strong or milky?
Very strong.
Strong. Johnny makes his teas a bit weak. The thing I had about coffee is like years ago, someone made me a cup of coffee and it was grey.
Grey.
Like grey in
It
colour.
shouldn't be grey.
Yeah, and that just like literally put me off coffee for forever.
Was that at the cat funeral home? You sure they didn't mix up like the
Mix up some
ethylene or whatever it is they put inside you? I don't know if they preserve cats. What's the stuff they put in here?
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde. Right, sweet. I'll send these through the wall. So we're going to have some kind of trunking in here,
Yeah.
or on here rather, but not sure exactly what yet. I'm thinking like an outlet plate, maybe 2 25mm stuff in Flexicon runs going up. On top of my van right now, shot. I appreciate this. Right, that is the panels on. However, got our first excuse to use the first aid kit. One of the guys has got to use the first aid kit of Shane.
So I've already done it.
I've already done it. You joking me?
Sneaked it.
How did it happen? Where's your accident log? Well, that was smashed out. So there we go. We have the panels on the roof, and now they are the kind of test bed, if you like, the temporary test panels, just to test out this system in here, which is coming along nicely now. We just need to connect up the batteries before we can commission it. This is the joint box system, or whatever you want to call it, where they're all joining up. The connections box going off into the MPPT, that's then going off into the links, and then that will be going through the shunt and down into the batteries and inverter. However, the batteries are not in right now, and we're about to make a decision whether or not to do that today or to come back another day.
Yeah.
For now, we're just going to put 2. What size battery packs have you got?
3.
3.
Kilowatts.
3 at 15 kilowatts. So 45 kilowatt hours of battery storage we're going to stick in there. And the batteries we're using is from a company called Lemon Energy. And this is these guys' own company. They might look like electricians, but the broom was an absolute dead giveaway.
Absolute giveaway.
Absolute dead giveaway. This guy is a qualified pilot, that guy's an architect, and I don't really know what else, there's a lot of things. And they also happen to be electricians, and they're designing their own battery. So I'm quite curious to see it, because they're trying to design something that will work well with the Victron system. And it's kind of a bit more compact, and it's also UK made. This is not an ad, because it's not out yet. It's still in R&D, research and development. I'm interested to see it, so let's have a little look. Right, so these are the batteries here that they make or manufacture, and these are the prototypes. Why Lemon Energy?
We were just trying to come up with a nice, fun title, and everybody kind of remembers the
lemon battery experiment.
Lemon battery experiment at school.
Yeah.
Where you can take power from a lemon. So we thought that's quite fitting and quite fun, really.
For those that don't know, the lemon battery experiment: acid, electrolyte, anode and cathode, and you can basically make a battery out of a lemon. Right, let's see this with this Milwaukee pop rivet nailer. Why haven't I got one of those? That's not fair. So the system is basically PV in. This is obviously going to be a whole load more than what is there currently, but for now we just have this little temporary setup through the MPPTs, out into the links distributor system. Out of that, the negatives go through this shunt. The servo, we can ignore that for now. That is basically just going to be the brains of the operation to monitor and control it. And then out of that shunt, it will go through and into your inverter and batteries. What on earth made you want to make a battery?
Basically, just what's on the market at the moment. We think there's a position to make something of slightly higher quality. Based here in the UK for good customer services and everything like that, and also a product that will give slightly better specifications than everything else on the market, meaning their performance is much better.
What's the battery chemistry?
Lithium iron phosphate,
So-
LiFePO4.
LiFePO4.
Yeah.
So that's slightly different to lithium ion, which you get inside a car, heavier,
Slightly heavier,
Less
but
power
better
dense.
cycle rate and will last longer, basically.
Nice one. And a bit more stable
Yes.
with thermal runaway and things like that.
Yeah, they don't
Okay.
suffer from thermal runaway.
Interesting. I like it. I mean, they feel solid. I look forward to seeing the finished article. I've been sent this tester, which is some fancy auto scaling, auto ranging tester. I've not actually tried it yet, but we can try it now. So plan is now just to test the strings, just to make sure we've got polarity correct. So I'm getting nothing on that one. Oh, it's because my isolator's off. That'll be why. When isolators are off, you don't let power through. That was a lesson.
It's a lesson, yeah.
This is actually take 2. Take 1 was where I've realised we'd read the instruction manual for the isolator wrong. These are really weird isolators where they are diagonal and go across. The lesson there is be careful. Read the manual is the lesson there. Let's try that now. Take 1.
Hopefully go back in the block now.
Perfect. Lovely. Okay. Happy days. Just to show you as well what it is that I'm actually doing here, how it is that I'm actually testing these. The plan is I want to see positive voltage on here because it's direct current. Basically, it's got a direction of flow. So as long as these are the right way round, I'll be able to see it. So for example here, the red one being my positive, I can see there, positive 71 volts. Whereas if it was the wrong way round, maybe show me that, see that little negative sign there. So, just to make that clear. So that's tested out and good. Now, why are we using string fuses, Adam?
Because we have more than 2 strings,
Yeah,
and the blocking diodes that are in the panels are able to block a reverse current of twice the panel's current rating normally.
okay.
So if you end up with multiple panels, or one panel that fails and it gets a reverse current through it from the other panels, it can catch fire. So you stick a 25 amp, these have got 25 amp fuses in,
Yeah,
so that if you do get a failure in a panel, the fuse will blow before the blocking diode fails.
and why are they not so common on normal domestic systems?
Because the majority of domestic systems are normally a single string, or possibly 2 strings.
Yeah,
It's very
Right.
rare you get more than that.
the blocking diode failing on multiple strings, obviously you've got a lot more potential for problems and
yeah.
fires.
Yeah, much larger currents flowing the wrong way through panels.
Right, that is me finished for the day. I would love to see it all on and commissioned for you today, but this week is absolutely stacked out and it's already coming on to 7 o'clock and I really want to go home. But if you subscribe to my channel, then you'll see more of this project because I'm going to be back here fitting a whole load of solar panels with these guys. These guys are amazing. I wish they had like a social link that I could shout out to you, but I don't. They are one of the many grafters that are just out there working without YouTube. What, does that exist? Yes, it does. So I really appreciate them letting me come and work alongside them this week. Well, I say this week, we've only been here for like a day and a half getting all this done. But come back, subscribe, watch when we stick all the panels in. Thank you for watching. See you next time.